Okay, so the quiz today is over percents and graphing lines. The first two questions. These are about slope and y-intercept. And I put two graphs up there. And so the way that you'll see these questions on TSI and on your quiz, it's asking basically, is the slope positive or negative? And is the y-intercept positive or negative? And so the way that we can say positive or negative is if it's bigger or less than 0. But first we need to identify our slopes. So for the first graph, we read from left to right. And so from left to right, this is going up. That's a positive slope. And then the second graph from left to right, it is going down, and that is a negative slope. Which letter do we use to describe slope? Which letter do we use M? So over here, M is slope. So when we talk about slope for both of them, for this one, the M, if it is positive, that means that it is bigger than 0. And if your slope is negative, it means that you are less than 0. For the y-intercept is where you cross the y-axis. And so for the first one, that y-intercept where I cross the y-axis, that is a positive. It's above the x-axis, so it's a positive number. The second graph, it's also a positive y-intercept. If it was negative, it would be down here. And we call y-intercept, it is B. So for the first one, B is positive, so it's bigger than 0. And for the second one, B is also bigger than 0. So that first question, just read it very carefully. Question number 2, we've seen this one with jelly beans or gummy bears a lot of times. The circle graph gives the distribution of salad dressing chosen by a customer at a restaurant. If approximately 200 customers order salad each day at a restaurant, determine the difference per day between the number who choose blue cheese and French. So French dressing and blue cheese. If we have 200 customers, to figure out how many chose French, I'm going to multiply by, what's 5% as a decimal? Nope, that would be 50%. 0.05. And then 200 times 0.2 or 0.20 for blue cheese. Figure those out, write them down on your paper. So how many chose French? And what about blue cheese? What is the difference between them? Very good. The next two questions are very similar. It says a pair of sunglasses is on sale for 20% off. If the original price of the sunglasses was S, what is the sale price in terms of S? So if we have 100%, we have to take off 20%. And so what we're paying for is 80%. As a decimal, what is that as a decimal? So to figure out the sale price, it would be 0.8 times S. The second question is very much the same. A laptop is on sale for 35% off. If the original price of the laptop was L, what is the sale price? So if we have 100% and we take off 35%, what percent are we paying for? 65. And as a decimal, it's 0.65. So to figure out the sale price, we would take 0.65 and we would multiply it by L, or the cost of a laptop. The bottom question. In the XY coordinate plane, point P has a coordinate of 4, -6. So P is over at 4, -6. Write an equation of a line that contains point O and point P. You need two things to write the equation of a line. We need M and we need B. Can you tell me where that graph crosses the y-axis? So 0, 0, that is my B. For my slope, I'm going to have to count from left to right how far down and how far over I go. So it looks like I go down 6, so I need to say -6, and I go over 4. So my slope, down 6, over 4, does that reduce? So they both reduce because they both are divisible by the same thing. Yeah, we can divide them both by 2. So 6 divided by 2 is 3. And 4 divided by 2 is 2. So I have a slope and I have a y-intercept. I can write the equation of a line. Y equals my slope, -3 over 2x. Do I have to write plus 0? No. On to the back. Sherry works in retail sales. Her salary is $400 plus 15% commission on weekly sales. Write a function expressing the relationship between her wages and her weekly sales. We talked about this when we did our worksheet, that what is another word for salary or wages? What is that? It's just your pay. It's just what you're getting paid. So we could call it P for what you're getting paid. And then it says that her pay is equal sign, is $400 plus 15% commission on weekly sales. You could call weekly sales, we could call that W. So our equation, our pay is equal to $400 plus, and what's 15% as a decimal? The first part of this question is just write an equation. The second part, it says find her sales for the week. Well, the sales for the week, that is W. Okay, find the sales for the week. If, and it tells you that your pay is $913.75. Okay, so if my pay is $913.75, and that's equal to 400 less 0.15 times my weekly sales. What do I have to do first? Subtract 400. After I subtract 400, I still don't know my weekly sales. What do I need to do? So what do I get when I divide? That is correct. 3,425. The problem on your quiz and the problem on the ACC final works exactly the same way. The next question, many financial advisors recommend that you save 15% of your income for retirement. If a person makes $5,100 a month, how much should they put away for retirement? So we're trying to find 15% of 5,100. So you can take 5,100 and we can multiply it by 15% as a decimal. This is money. Everything on the back pretty much needs dollar signs that has to do with money. Mm-hmm. 765. Thank you. The next question, it says, write the equation of the line that passes through the points 3, -5, and 0, 1. On TSI, they don't give you a grid for this, but you can always get one. Back where I have the corrections in the little baggie, there's little graphs, but you can also just sketch one. It's not that difficult. To write the equation of a line, we need two things. We need to know a slope and we need to know a y-intercept. So I can make an x and a y, and I can sketch out these points. The first point is at 3, -5, so I'm going to sketch that on my graph. There's my first point. It's at 3, -5. My second point is at 0, 1. Do I know my y-intercept? Yeah, it crosses at 1 right there. It crosses at 1. So my y-intercept I know is 1. For my slope, I need to figure out how far up, down and over that I go. So it looks like I go down and then over. I go down 6 and then over 3. So my slope is down 6 over 3. Does that reduce? Yeah. So it's -2. So my equation y equals negative 2x plus 1. The next question, a group of friends went out to dinner and the bill was $73. If the group wants to leave an 18% tip, how much should they leave for the tip? So if we're paying $73 and we want to know about an 18% tip, and it's going to be money. $13.14. Everybody should know how to leave tip. Has anybody ever worked for tips before? Nobody in here has ever worked for tips?
No.
Okay, well, when you are working for tips, it is important that you tip because that's what you're working for. You're working for that money. We're going to skip down to the bottom and do the last question, and then we'll come back and do question number 10. The bottom question says that the population of Springtown is modeled by the function below, where T is the number of years since January 1st, 2000. According to the model, what was the population of Springtown on January 1st, 2001? What do you think the T stands for in this problem? Yeah. So from 2000 to 2001, how many years is that? I agree. T is equal to 1. So we're going to take this equation and we're going to plug in 1 for T. So that would be 3050 times 1.08, all raised to the first power. We're going to type that into our calculator and see what we get. Very good. And these are people, so you don't have to put a dollar sign. It's population, it is people. And the last question, this uses that formula that we used. Oh, I'm sorry. There you go. Did you use your calculator and type it in? Okay. The last question, we have $150 that's put into retirement for 15 years. It gains 4% interest. So for our formula, 150, that's our principal, or that's what we're putting in. We have 15 years, so that's our time. And 4% interest, that's our rate, but we need to change it to a decimal. What's 4% as a decimal? 0.04. So there's 3 parts to this question. It's not a multiple choice question. It's 3 parts. The first part says, how much is in the account if the interest is compounded twice a year? So twice a year means how many times? And this is n, so 2 times. For part B, how much is in the account if the interest is compounded daily? How many days are in a year? Very good, 365. How much is in the account if it's compounded monthly? 12. All right, so we are going to plug these numbers into the equation. For all of these, we're solving for A. So we can put in 150. And then it's 1 plus, and it's a fraction. So 0.04 divided by, in the first part, n is 2. All raised to the power of 2 times, I'm not gonna use the point. I'm gonna use parentheses, 2 times the time, which is 15 years. And that's gonna give us how much money is in the account. So let's practice typing that in the calculator. If you want to type in a fraction, you can press alpha, y equals. You don't have to, but you can. You can type in like that.
You answer.
What did you get, Logan?
I got 271.7.
So is that how,
70.
we would say money is 70. Then do you have a graphing calculator? If you don't have a graphing calculator, I think it's going to be hard for you to answer these questions on the quiz, because I'm not going to be writing up the answers up on the board. So it might be a good idea to get a graphing calculator so that you can take your quiz. Alex, do you need a graphing calculator? Yeah, you should get one. If anybody else didn't go get a graphing calculator, you should go get one, because it's going to be tough for you to take the quiz. The second part, there's only 2 things that change. The equation is exactly the same. It's the end part. So the equation, we could write it exactly the same. It's just the n that will change. And I'm going to go ahead and write it out for part C as well. I like to write everything out and then type things in the calculator. And if you're doing these correctly, they're all going to be pretty similar in the amounts that you get.